Good evening, everyone. My name is Victoria Young. I am the Vancouver School Board Chair, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. With deep gratitude and respect, we are honored to be learning and unlearning on the ancestral lands of the Homaquium, Skohomishokameo, and Tsleil-Waututh. This meeting is currently being broadcast live. Both audio and video recordings are accessible to the public for viewing after the meeting ends. This board has a strong commitment to ethical conduct. It's our collective responsibility to ensure our meetings are conducted in a safe and respectful manner. As a Board of Education for school district, it's important that we model the behavior we expect of students in our schools. If members of the public have a question for a public question period, which is item 11 tonight on our agenda, they can submit it through the link provided on our board website, or also through an iPad that's in the back corner of the room here to my left. The link will stay active until just after committee reports are presented. Before we wrap up October, it's important to acknowledge Dyslexia Awareness Month, a time when we join Dyslexia Canada and communities nationwide to raise awareness about a learning difference that impacts 10 to 20% of Canadians. Dyslexia is not a measure of intelligence. It is a different way of processing information. Please join me in extending our appreciation to all educators and staff whose care, expertise, and commitment to empower students with dyslexia to thrive in inclusive and supportive learning environments across our VSB and beyond our school district. Moving along, we're excited a new school in Cole Harbour will welcome students and staff next school year. On behalf of the board, I'd like to share our appreciation for the time and thoughtful feedback we received to help inform decisions moving forward. During October, staff visited school communities in the downtown area to gather feedback about options to redesign the catchments of Lord Roberts, Elsie Roy, Crosstown, and creating a new catchment for Cole Harbour School. That feedback will be shared in the coming weeks, and details about the new school catchments will be shared following our November board meeting. Also in October, we restarted the public engagement process about the proposed closure of Carleton Elementary. An in-person information session was held last week, and an online session was held yesterday. A survey to collect feedback is available and will remain open until November the 26th, 2 days after our public delegation meeting, which is November 24th. Written submissions will continue to be accepted until December the 2nd. We appreciate the thoughtful input offered by our formal stakeholder groups about revisions to Board Policy 7, Board Operations, and 8, Board Committees. These policies are for us and in the package in tonight's agenda. Thanks to everyone who took time to share their perspectives ahead of our decisions as a board. Now I'd like to go to our agenda items. I'll start with introductions. Tonight we're here with staff and trustees at the boardroom at the Education Centre. Welcome Superintendent McGregor and Secretary Treasurer Coughlin and my fellow trustees, and I'll ask that they introduce themselves from my right.
Trustee Friedcourt.
Trustee Christopher Richardson.
Trustee Reddy, pronouns she, her.
Alpha Shin, trustee.
Lois Chan-Pedley, trustee.
Freddie Zhang, student trustee.
Janet Fraser, trustee.
And Vice Chair. Thank you. We have regrets from Trustee Ma and Trustee Zhang this evening. I, of course, welcome student trustee Freddie Zhang, who we'll hear from shortly after our superintendent's update. So before we proceed, I'd like to ask everyone to kindly turn their phones off or on silent to ensure focus on the discussions at hand. Thank you for all your cooperation. We'll move to approval of the agenda. Okay, I move that the agenda be approved as presented. Is there a seconder? Thank you, trustee Richardson. Any objections from trustees will go to approval by consensus. Okay, thank you. Approved. Okay, next we'll move to item 3 on the agenda, adoption of minutes. Meeting of October the 1st, 2025. Is there a mover and seconder to adopt the minutes? Trustee Freecoat, trustee Chen, thank you. Any questions about the minutes? Okay, if there are no objections from trustees, we'll adopt the minutes by consensus. Thank you. 3.2 matters arising. Any from the minutes of October the 1st, 2025? Okay, seeing none, I'll ask Superintendent McGregor to go to agenda item 4, which is the superintendent's update.
Thank you, Chair. Welcome to everyone in person and online, and very glad to provide these highlights. Next slide, please. So this is a favorite part of mine in these meetings, is superintendent tribute. This evening, very happy to recognize Sue Bain's service to John Oliver Secondary School in the South Vancouver community. Sue Bain's connection with John Oliver Secondary and South Vancouver community is long-standing and deeply personal. It began in her childhood as she completed all her schooling in South Vancouver and proudly graduated from John Oliver. From those early days, Sue's journey has been one of dedication to learning, to leadership, and to family. She went on to pursue post-secondary education and build a successful career, all while balancing the responsibilities of parenthood. Throughout her life, Sue has exemplified unwavering dedication to her community. Her leadership has been felt across local sports leagues and community organizations, where she generously applied her expertise as an accountant to strengthen the very groups that shaped her children's experiences. A passionate advocate for youth athletics, Sue has been a longtime supporter of Little League Baseball and club team sports in South Vancouver. Her commitment to education and civic engagement naturally extended into her children's schools, where she played pivotal roles in John Oliver's preschool advisory group, Mackenzie Elementary's parent advisory council, and later the John Oliver PAC. Her transition to the PAC executive team as treasurer was seamless and impactful, marking her as an indispensable leader whose contributions were both strategic and sincere. Sue's energy and professionalism are truly infectious. Her treasurer's reports were always clear, concise, and delivered with grace, humor, and what I've been told with that signature twinkle in her eye. She is a true community builder who draws people in, lifts others up, and helps fellow leaders feel more confident and capable. Beyond her PAC contributions, Sue has been a dynamic force within the JO Mini Parent Group, taking on leadership, coordination, and service roles. Her legendary chai tea served during fundraising and parent events became a symbol of warmth and hospitality that brought the community together, and that's really important. Sue's laughter and boundless energy are unforgettable. She is a force of nature, positive, optimistic, and strategic. And we extend our heartfelt gratitude to Sue for her outstanding leadership and enduring commitment. Her legacy of service continues to inspire, and her contributions have left an indelible mark on the John Oliver community. And on behalf of the VSB, we want to congratulate you on the superintendent's. Just going to use the mic because the people at home can't hear what we're saying. So I'm going to invite everybody who's here to support Sue. Please join us up at the front so we can get a group photo. Family, friends, community, please come up to the front. Thank you. We do this every month when we recognize people, because what we do know is people who make such positive contributions and share their time with us, do it with their support of family, friends, and community. So we'll take a group photo here. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. Give people a moment while I move back to my seat. It's always lovely for folks in the boardroom to see family, friends, partners, children, community members, school staff to support those that are being recognized. So very glad to recognize Sue this evening. We can move to the next slide, please. So continuing with the celebratory theme, celebrating teachers and principals. On October 5th, we celebrated World Teachers Day. Teachers are more than instructors. They are mentors, advocates, and role models who shape the future by empowering young minds. I'd also like to acknowledge that October is National Principals Month. Principals and vice principals are so vital to creating safe, caring, welcoming, and inclusive environments for students. To our VSB teachers, principals and vice principals, thank you for continually encouraging students to reach beyond previous boundaries in knowledge and experience. We celebrate your passion and dedication to serving VSB students. And I remind everybody every day that gift and that opportunity of supporting over 50,000 students in VSB schools, it truly is a gift. And it's based on the collaboration of staff each and every day. So you can see some images up there of teachers and vice principals and principals. Next slide, please. So you'll see a picture up there. Last week, in partnership with Ethos Lab, VSB hosted elementary students from Tyee, Henderson, Shaughnessy, Fleming, and AR Lord for an intermediate elementary STEAM Discovery Day at Kitsilano Secondary. Students learned about Andrew Jackson Beard, a Black American inventor whose inventions improve railroad worker safety. Students were then challenged with creating an invention that helps solve an existing problem. The invention had to be sustainable, compatible to the problem, user-friendly, and have an impact on safety in a positive way. In the photo, and I don't have a video to show you, but from what I heard about the event, students really exercise both creativity and presentation skills as they pitch prototypes to their peers. So what a great learning opportunity for these students to learn together and learn from each other and show their creativity. Next slide, please. During the month of October, lots of professional learning as well. As a school district, we share a commitment to fostering a culture of learning, both for students, but also for educators. Most recently, during the Provincial Professional Development Day, staff took part in a number of workshops designed to support diverse learners. Sessions were held for teachers and education assistants around topics such as social emotional learning, nonviolent crisis intervention, innovative digital inclusion, positive behavior support planning, and the SCERTS, Social Communication Emotional Regulation Transactional Support Program model, which is an approach to create inclusive environments for students with autism. In the photos above, you can see VSB educators. We're joined by educators from the West Vancouver and North Vancouver school districts for a workshop covering inclusive practices for English language learners. We are also looking forward to our very own VSB Inclusion in Action Conference happening in November with keynote speaker Dr. Carly Christensen from UBC on the 21st at John Oliver. In collaboration with UBC and key provincial partners, this event brings together K-12 classroom educators, school-based staff, administrators, and support personnel to deepen understanding, share best practices, and build capacity around inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility. So we're very much looking forward to the learning that has happened already and more to come. Next slide. We also continue to reach out to families through various channels. This month's two-part After the Bell podcast featured admissions staff from BCIT, UBC, SFU, Capilano University, and Langara, who answered common questions and shared helpful tips around choosing a post-secondary path. I really highly recommend these episodes for any families of secondary students. Some great questions and answers provided. Our upcoming podcast will be all about learning updates and report cards. Based on feedback from families, another topic of interest is digital literacy. Earlier this month, in partnership with the White Hatter, we hosted a virtual presentation for families all about raising AI-ready youth. Almost 6,000 people participated in this learning opportunity, both live on the evening and in the couple days following. In November, with Safer Schools Together, we will be hosting another information session on social media awareness, digital citizenship, and cyberbullying. And these sessions are open to families of VSB students. So looking forward to providing more learning opportunities on topics of interest. Next slide. The Ministry of Education and Childcare recently launched the K-12 Literacy Supports Initiative, which focuses on improving foundational literacy skills for students across the province of BC. It's grounded in our responsive literacy framework, and VSB is excited to continue this important work to support literacy proficiency for all learners. The ministry's mandate includes a standardized approach to early literacy screening for kindergarten to grade 3 learners, with kindergarten screening beginning this year in 25-26 and grades 1 to 3 in the 26-27 school year. Literacy screeners are administered by classroom teachers, are designed to quickly identify students at risk for reading difficulties. Data collected from screening provides teachers with information to plan their ongoing literacy instruction and provide targeted interventions to students who may need additional supports. VSB has been using a variety of literacy screening tools, the primary grades, for many years. And with this new ministry mandate, we look forward to continuing this work and providing consistency of data and interventions with this more standardized provincial approach. In the past 2 weeks, VSB kindergarten teachers, resource teachers, and administrators have participated in training in DIBELS and Acadians, 2 of the ministry-supported screening tools. VSB continues to provide robust professional learning opportunities for K-12 staff to support strong literacy pedagogy, literacy instruction, and literacy interventions. And we were pleased in the most recent Education Plan Committee to provide a bit more information for participants, for trustees, stakeholders, and right holders to learn a little bit more about the work happening in the district. Next slide. This month, elementary schools competed in the annual district cross-country meet. Families, coaches, and teachers were out in full support to cheer on the students and encourage their love of movement. And I know a number of our trustees were also there. Also earlier this month, elementary schools competed in the Soccer City Championships. Congratulations are in order for Kitchener, who claimed the championship on the girls' side, and Brock Elementary, who claimed the championship on the boys' side. It is awesome if you get an opportunity to attend any of these events. Full of energy, lots of spectators, and lots of excitement. So looking forward to providing some more updates on athletics across the district. Next slide, please. The Indigenous Student Leadership Group attended a day at Musqueam this week on Monday. Learning Together from elders, visiting the Musqueam Museum, talking about leadership, beating poppies, and finishing the day with drumming with Alec Dan. I was very lucky to be a witness to this amazing student leadership, and this group will be continuing to meet this year and working on the leadership projects and initiatives that they would like to lead across the district. It was very lovely. So we had some people that were new to beading and some very experienced beaders in the room, so adults and students alike. And they were in the image you can see there. We were at the Hamakwiam Cultural Center. You can see Alec Dan from Hamakwiam drumming, and then you can see an example of one of the students. One of the students was actually able in a very short period of time to bead almost a quarter of their poppy while people were working on getting their first bead onto their poppy. So the whole spectrum, but a great learning opportunity. And I look forward to providing you some more updates about student leadership in the VSB. Thank you. And my last slide, if you don't mind. Thank you. It is that time of year. Priority kindergarten registration is open from November 1st to January 31st. Families should apply to their neighborhood school. Following their initial application, they can then consider applying for district choice programs or cross-boundary applications. And we very much look forward to greeting many new students who will be joining the VSB next year. Thank you, Chair. That's it for my updates this evening.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Are there any questions from around the table for Superintendent? Okay, thank you very much. I got to participate in some of those events, and it's always fabulous to see so many students out and about. I'll move to item 5 now, which is the student trustee report, and we'll ask our student trustee, Freddie Zhang, to present the report. Thank you.
Thank you and good evening. I am pleased to provide an update on the recent initiatives of the Vancouver District Students' Council, including outcomes from our October general meeting, junior executive elections, and upcoming student-led initiatives such as the Canley Cup and annual leadership retreat. The VDSC held its general meeting on October 14th with participation from student representatives across the district, including the Student Sustainability Representative. The meeting included the election of junior executives for the 2025 to 2026 school year, including student representatives for the board's standing committees. This year, there were 27 candidates for 8 junior executive positions, showing just how passionate and engaged Vancouver secondary students are. At the upcoming retreat, we will help get the newly elected representatives ready for committee meetings through a student design workshop. The council also discussed plans for Canley Cup, an annual district-wide initiative addressing food insecurity. This year, schools will continue to have the option of partnering with the Greater Vancouver Food Bank, a local charity, or local food hub, whichever best fits their school community. This popular initiative reflects the commitment of students to support the wider community while building meaningful engagement at the school level. We look forward to seeing the impact of everyone's efforts. Looking ahead, the Council is preparing for our leadership retreat on November 25th. This annual retreat provides an opportunity to develop leadership skills, including communication, collaboration, and problem solving through student-led activities, while also providing time to plan for the rest of the initiatives that VDSC has mapped out. Our focus this year is on strengthening collaboration and building a sense of belonging for students in their schools and at VDSC. The student leadership grant applications are now open and will remain so until December 1st. There's a lot of excitement about this opportunity, and momentum is building across the district as students prepare their proposals. I would like to thank the board for its ongoing support of student voices and leadership, and I look forward to keeping the board informed of our progress and outcomes throughout the year. Thank you.
Great, thank you. It's always great to hear what's going on at the student level. Are there any questions from trustees? Trustee Friedko?
I just have a comment and maybe a question. I just love seeing how the VDSC is creating so many opportunities for the students to get involved and actually make a difference. So I can't wait to see how the Canley Cup and retreat is going to turn out, and want to hear more about it later on. But could you please share more about the junior executive position that you said and the regular executive position? How are the roles are in terms of responsibility? How do they differ?
So our junior executive positions include our committee representatives for the board standing committees, as well as a marketing officer, a graphics and design officer, an alternate schools officer, as well as a student issues officer and social events officer. So those junior executives are responsible for helping the senior executive team, which are the co-presidents, the secretary communications officer, and myself, to plan out our initiatives for the year, as well as represent VDSC at the standing committees.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Trustee Fraser?
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm curious about the students who do step forward into, you said there are 27 candidates who put themselves forward for leadership positions. And I'm just curious, I know each student is, an individual, have their own reasons for doing things. But I'm curious if there's any themes. Have most of these students been in a leadership role at their own school? Do they know someone on VDSC? Do they have a sibling? Do you have any sense of what propels people to go forward in this way?
Yeah, so every year we're really fortunate to have a really diverse slate of candidates and also elected students for these positions. So that includes people who, haven't been on their school student council before, but have a passion for leadership, and also students who've been on VDSC for many years and really want to make a difference further. We also do see students who hear about VDSC from their friends or from their family, from their siblings, even people who've already graduated for many years. And we're really happy to see people connected that way.
Thanks, Freddie. Okay, seeing no other questions, we're going to move along. Thanks again, Freddie, for that student report. Number 6 on the agenda package, committee reports. Policy and Governance Committee. I'll ask the chair of that committee, Trustee Chan Pedley, to move receipt.
Thank you, Chairperson. I'd like to move receipt of the report of the October 15, 2025 Policy and Governance Committee.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Trustee Richardson, thank you. Are there any questions or comments about the report? Okay, seeing none. If there are no objections, we'll receive the report by consensus. Wonderful. Thank you very much. Trustee Chan Pedley?
Yeah, we have matters arising. So we have a recommendation from the ad hoc committee to update the draft policy 7. It seems to be perennially being updated and improved, as well as policy 8, which was directed by the board at the June 23rd, 2025 public board meeting. We have collected a lot of feedback to date through the ad hoc committee, as well as through the Policy and Governance Committee. And the report that is attached to the agenda has some pretty comprehensive explanation for the changes that we propose. So as a member of the ad hoc committee, I would like to move that the board approve policy 7, board operations. And further, altogether, and further that the board approve the amendment of paragraph 2.6 in policy 3, role of the trustee as follows. 2.6, the trustee may submit motions
for consideration by the board. And the copy behind it is struck out, and the struck out portion reads, notices of motion must be submitted to the board chair and superintendent and the secretary treasurer by no later than noon on the Wednesday prior to the public board meeting to be included in the board meeting agenda.
Thank you, trustee. Is there a seconder? Trustee Richardson, thank you very much. Any comments?
May I open?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Thank you. So as I mentioned, this chunk of policy we've been working on and keep working on for a long time. We've had a series of policy and governance meetings to discuss this with rights holders and stakeholders in small group discussions, and many amendments were considered. The ad hoc committee, of which I am a member, was a member, it has since dissolved, was struck to like wordsmith the policies, take the feedback and just work on the wording to bring to the board with, you know, heavy assistance from Secretary Treasurer Slavic Coughlin. The policy, the things to note are that policy 3, the bit that we're modifying, it's to make it consistent with policy, the new wording of policy 7, and also that the ad hoc committee would like to recommend developing a new policy around remuneration that is based on the School Act. So those are kind of all the big changes. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Okay, trustee Reddy?
Yeah, thanks for the report. I do have just a question about the process you mentioned there. Could you just share, so the ad hoc committee report that's in the agenda package, so 6121, is the recommendation coming from the Policy and Governance Committee or from ad hoc committee?
The recommendation is coming from the ad hoc committee with all the feedback being gathered through policy and governance and being addressed through said report.
Yeah, follow up. Go ahead.
Yeah, so just want to clarify then, also in the same report package, will this version of policy 7 and 8 be going back to the Policy Governance Committee? Because I recognize that we were asked for feedback last Monday, but we hadn't obviously had another Policy Governance Committee meeting. So would they have seen this version of the policy 7 and 8 with that extra feedback?
Yes, so the folks from the committee have seen this version of the committee and have given feedback and has been incorporated into this final report.
Thank you. Trustee Friedcoat?
Sorry, just want to clarify. So from what I understand, that we can submit the motion and there's no deadline? Like in the past, like we were supposed to submit a motion Wednesday prior to the public board meeting. And if that's been striked out, that means we can bring a motion anytime.
Sorry, Trustee Friedcoat, are you referring to the 2.6A that would have been from, the reason why it was edited is because, from what I understand, and Trustee Champedley, is because it actually impacts another policy that we have. So by updating and implementing the changes to these policies, it impacts another one, which is why that edit was made or amendment was made. And Trustee Champedley, is that correct?
Yeah, essentially, the policy 7 addresses the deadline for submitting notices of motion, so it no longer needs to be stated in policy 3. So anything regarding submitting notices of motion, you refer to policy 7. So the draft addresses that.
The housekeeping issue, I'm assuming, is that a fair way to say it? Okay, Trustee.
Sorry, just to follow up on that. So the procedure is still the same. We're just removing it from the policy. Thank you.
That's correct.
Yeah, thank you.
Wonderful. Back to Trustee Reddy.
Yeah, I just have two things. One is just related to the last questions I had about the ad hoc committee and the relationship with the Policy Governance Committee. And thanks for confirming that the Policy Governance Committee would have seen this final two drafts. Who are the members of the ad hoc committee? So the other committees do list who's on the committee, but in this report package, it doesn't actually say what the ad hoc committee is, or nor does it have like a title specifically. So will this be the end of the ad hoc committee? And also, could you confirm the members?
Trustee Champedley, go ahead.
Thank you, Chairperson. The ad hoc committee consisted of myself as the Chair of Policy and Governance, as well as Trustee Young as the Chairperson of the board. And further volunteer was sought from the rest of the board. And Trustee Jana Fraser accepted the, after, other volunteers, we sought other volunteers, but Trustee Fraser very graciously accepted this very dull job of working on policy. So those were the three members. And yes, since the mandate is complete, it would be considered dissolved.
Right. Are there any questions additionally? Trustee Reddy?
Thanks. Yeah, and just to comment to the previous speaker's question about the connection to policy 3, I do believe that was a response from an edit that I sent in on Monday, which was that the edits in policy 7 do impact policy 3, specifically around the length of time you need to submit a motion. Previously, the information was different, and now in policy 7, it requires trustees to submit 4 weeks in advance. So there is a change. I just wanted to confirm that.
Are there any other questions? Oh, Trustee Fraser?
So having been on the ad hoc committee, and maybe it's not as dull as my colleague puts out. I just want to thank all the people who gave the feedback through the Policy and Governance Committee through that process, because as you can see in the report, there are many things that were taken into consideration in creating the final draft. And, the work, this truly is the work from the ground up, and taking the voices of those representatives and incorporating their suggestions into the draft. So I think we work better. This shows the value of having our committee meetings with the representatives and being able to tap into their expertise.
Trustee Richardson?
Madam Chair, I too would like to, this process and comments have been made in many forums in terms of the length of time this has taken. But I think my experience has been that we have reached out, and I don't think we've rushed it, and I don't think we've dragged it out, in the sense that we've addressed the issues along the way. And I'd like to just compliment staff and the stakeholders, right holders, and others that have contributed to it. I think this process, has had a rough ride or a rough road in some people's minds in terms of addressing something that is it's just useful process to do, and it's a process that we should always be kind of reviewing our policies, but certainly input is so important to ensure that we have an opportunity to make decisions based upon full input. So this process has taken a while, but I think it's fully justified, and I just like to compliment staff for their assistance of the process.
Okay. Trustee Reddy?
Thanks. I do have a few amendments I'd like to propose.
Do you have, sorry, would you present it in the form of a motion, please? Thank you.
Yep. So my first amendment that I'd like to move is.
Sorry, point of order, Chair.
Yeah.
In the report, it says that if the board wishes to propose additional changes to the two draft policies, the ad hoc committee recommends referring the drafts to the Policy and Governance Committee for further review and recommendations. So I think, I'm not sure if that means that we are going to vote yes or no on the motion. And if we want to consider amendments, then the vote is no, and it goes back to Policy and Governance to consider amendments.
That's how I would like to proceed, and that I will proceed if there's no objections from trustees. Okay, Trustee Reddy, you can
Thanks.
continue.
Yeah, I would like to move my amendments just according to our usual practice and policy. And I do remember that when we had a workshop about this policy process, that I had asked Trustee Fraser about what do we do with the items that don't have consensus from Policy Governance Committee? And it was suggested that you would bring amendments to the board meeting, which is what I'm doing. So
Yep,
that's why I would like to.
Please proceed.
Thanks. Yeah, so one amendment that I have is regards to page 8 of 14, and this is about the delegation presentation limits. And so what my proposal is to delete the term current term and replace it with per issue instead.
Is there a seconder? You mentioned which page? It was page 14? No,
Page 8 of 14.
8 of 14. Okay, which is agenda package 25 of 58 for reference. 25 of 58 or 8 of 14 if you're looking at the policy specifically.
I do.
Okay, Trustee Reddy is just providing in writing to our IT team for it to be put up on the board.
Could you give it back to me? After?
Okay, I'm going.
Okay.
Just one moment.
It's just E. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going back to the floor for a seconder. Trustee Fraser?
I have a clarification question, but it's for the secretary. I think it's for the secretary treasurer, so I maybe will.
Yeah, we'll just
Hold
wait,
for a
I
minute.
guess. Yeah. Trustee Reddy, may I also ask that if you have any other, to provide them in writing as well as soon as possible? You have provided them already?
I will do that.
Trustee Reddy, are you able to do that in advance by chance so that we could, you have, oh, perfect. Would you mind providing it just to staff if you're, oh, she has it. Okay. Okay, thank you. Procedurally, we're just waiting for it to come up on the board so everyone following along and watching can see it before moving forward. Trustee Reddy, does that read correct?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a seconder?
Sorry, Chair, I was asking.
Oh, yes, a
Clarification.
clarification. Please go ahead.
So I think
Sorry, just to clarify, this is about the process or is this about what?
the wording of the draft and of the proposed amendment.
Should we second the amendment before we go into discussion as per? Okay,
I'll second the amendment.
okay, please go ahead.
So I think the wording in the draft is that every time, the intention of the wording in the draft is that every time something is on a agenda for a committee meeting, that is a new issue, and anyone can speak to any item that's on the agenda, a committee agenda. So if an issue comes forward several times during a year and there's a new report, then it's a new issue and you can speak again. Is that correct?
So I'll give you an example. So budget comes up every year, and a delegate can register to present every year on the budget because it is considered a new issue because it's a different budget every year. So that will be the case.
Trustee Fraser, do you have a follow-up? No, okay. Trustee Reddy?
Yeah, may I speak to the amendment? I haven't had a chance to explain why I'm bringing it. Yes, so my proposed amendment here is just to replace the current term with the issue. And I recognize some discussion has been had, so I just want to add, the reason I'm bringing this one is that the new version of Policy 7 that's in the package says that the delegate has not presented to the board on the same topic during the current term. A board term is 4 years from one election to the next. So the restriction, in my view, is out of proportion to a possible problem of repetitive delegates. And things do change in 4 years. Sometimes items change, and I'm worried that union and PAC presidents who have an obligation and delegated duty to comment on topics would be disqualified with this. And I do think we have 5 minutes to hear from people interested, so that's my intention, to change it to issue rather than term.
Any other comments from trustees? Okay, all those in, I'm sorry, I don't see a hand up. Is there, okay, Trustee Fraser?
I think the obligation for union and stakeholder representatives is not to present at policy at the board, is to present at committee. So I don't think that's part of this argument.
Any other comments? Okay, I will go. Oh, yes, Trustee Richardson, go ahead.
Just a point of clarification. I think I'm hearing it and I didn't see it when I reviewed it, is that because we've had people speak at annual events such as the budget, and it not being a concern that they're speaking in more than once in the term, which is now 4 years. Maybe the Secretary Treasurer could clarify that this amendment proposal is just maybe make some comment in terms of, if we leave it the way it is, would a delegate who is interested be precluded if they have already spoken in one of the previous years of our current term on a subject such as the budget?
The way I read it, and this is the first time I see this amendment, I actually read it as more restrictive than what is currently in policy, because it would say to the average reader that if you have presented on an issue at any point, you cannot delegate again. So the previous one, it has to be the same topic during the current term. So it actually would allow for different topics to be considered and presentations to be accepted multiple times within the term. And then once the term is over, it resets. And even if it's the exact same topic, the delegate can present to the board.
Trustee Reddy?
Thanks for the comment. So yeah, my worry about the kind of union impact piece was around if an agenda comes out on Wednesday and there's something in it that they want to comment on, that perhaps they would get a chance to on the Monday delegation meeting, because we wouldn't have had a committee meeting. So that was my reasoning there. And just as was commented about the restrictive nature that this could have, I think that has some other implications for other parts of the Policy 7, which are delegating the authority to accept or deny delegates based on the chair's role. So I'm just wondering, another edit that I had there, and I sent this in on Monday as well last week, that the delegate has not presented on the same issue or reading. because sometimes we have different readings, like the budget, for example. So it could include reading to make sure we're not excluding anyone.
Secretary Treasurer, do you want to comment? Okay, I'm going back to the floor. If there's no other comments, we'll go to a vote. All those in favor of the current amendment that's on, or current motion that's on the screen? Trustee Reddy, those opposed? Trustee Richardson, Trustee Chen, Trustee Champedley, Trustee Fraser, Trustee Young, and Trustee Friedcoat. Okay, that does not pass. I'm going to throw it back to you, Trustee Reddy, for the next one. And again, I believe our Secretary Treasurer has it to post. Oh, please read it first and then we'll get it up. Thank you.
Yeah, so the second amendment, still on policy 7, was about page 9 of 14. It states, quote, "To ensure operational readiness, trustees must submit a request for virtual participation to the board chairperson at least 48 hours prior to the meeting. This notice period allows for appropriate planning and verification of technological capabilities. The chairperson retains discretion to approve or deny such requests based on the nature of the circumstance and availability of resources." And my proposed amendment is to delete this sentence and use what's in the School Act, specifically section 67, 6, and 7 of the School Act, which I can pull up too.
We don't have that wording. Could you please provide that to staff to get it up on the screen? Please, thank you. May I also ask that if you have any other additional ones, if you could also provide them to staff? Okay, I'm going to take a recess just so that we can get organized from the floor. And I ask trustees, we will return in at 5 minutes after staff. Would that be enough time? 13 minutes? Okay. Trustee Reddy, do you believe that should be enough time for us to get your motions?
Yeah, I'm ready
sorted?
with what I've shared with the with the Secretary Treasurer. Is there something more that you want?
I'm not sure what you read lined up with what she has. So I'm going to take a quick recess for 13 minutes. We'll come back at 5 after 8. Thank you everyone for your patience with us while we get organized on our side. We'll recess now. Okay, thank you everyone for your patience with us while we get organized on our end here. So those who are following, we just went to recess to get up on the board and the screen for everyone a trustee motion that I will ask trustee Reddy to read.
Thanks. Yeah. So just following on the motion on the floor, which is policy 7, I have an amendment to policy 7, which is in the agenda package. So it's from page 9 of 14. And my amendment is to delete the sentence that states to ensure operational readiness, trustees must submit a request for virtual participation to the board chairperson at least 48 hours prior to the meeting. This notice period allows for appropriate planning and verification of technological capabilities. The chairperson retains discretion to approve or deny such requests based on the nature of the circumstance and availability of resources, and to replace that with section 67(6) of the School Act.
Okay, is there a seconder? Sir, could we ask you stop recording or taking videos and distracting us back there? Thank you. Is there a seconder for the motion that's currently up on the board? Sir, if you're going to be speaking to the board while we're trying to do work, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. We're in the middle of, okay, thank you. If you wouldn't mind, I'm keeping quiet. Debatable. Trustees, I'm looking for a seconder for what we see on the screen. Okay, I'm going to take a quick recess. We need another one. We have people here who are not respecting the decorum of the board, so I'm just going to ask that we take a recess for the next 10 minutes, please, so we can get organized here in the room. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you for that brief recess. I'm just going to remind those in the room, we just have a lot of work to do, and we ask that we respect the decorum of the board so that we can get our work done. I'm going to go back to where we were, and Trustee Reddy, I believe you were, had you finished reading your amendment? Okay, would you
So-
mind just finish it? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Just to confirm, so what is on the board now is from the School Act. As we stated before, it's section 67.6 to enable trustee participation virtually. So taking the School Act rather than what's in the draft policy now.
Okay, do I have a seconder from Trustee Richardson? And Trustee Reddy, you can open.
Yeah, just to motivate this, so the proposal allowing online access with 48 hours of notice goes against the School Act that allows for phone and online participation to enable voices to be heard and to reach quorum. 48 hours is not reasonable or possible when people have family emergency, illness, snowstorm, or other extenuating circumstance that prevents them from attending in person. And the chair would have increased discretion on whether or not that would be allowable, which could be biased and not necessary. Thank you.
Go to trustees, Trustee Freecoat, and then Trustee Richardson.
Okay, so if this is passed, I believe that anybody can attend a meeting, whether it's private or public meeting, virtually. So you don't have to be in person. And I feel that some people might be exploiting this. I mean, there is no thing written over here as a used only in emergencies. So I'm not sure, I'm not sure if this is gonna go in a better way or not. I do understand the reasoning behind Trustee Reddy's intention. And I believe that the chair do understand that too. If there is an emergency, a person should be allowed to attend virtually. That's right.
Trustee Richardson?
Chair, my reason for seconding this, after talking to the mover, is just to obtain a public clarification that the intent of the motion of the existing policy as presented is to facilitate the participation of trustees at meetings. And the idea of 48 hours is that and that I need clarification that discretion will be utilized in terms of, and I suffered from COVID a couple of weeks ago, and you think you're just kind of sniffling and you can wear a mask and then all of a sudden you can't breathe. But you still want to participate. So I would ask the Secretary Treasurer, I guess, that as I read it, is that in fact, this is a facilitating as it was presented, and that this amendment said the board may, giving some discretion. But if I'd like to know if the intent is to, and it may in fact be that the circumstances a person would come forward much less than 48 hours. And if the technology is there and that we will facilitate that. And I'm wondering whether the School Act may in fact be old language and antiquated. So I'm hesitant to support the amendment as it is, because I think the intent is in fact broader as it was originally proposed by staff through my discussions with them.
Trustee Richardson, I heard a couple things there. I heard you talking about the intent of the motion and then also something about the superintendent. Do you have a question to direct to?
The intent is whether the Secretary Treasurer could, as she would interpret this, would it in fact allow that discretion to be less than 48 hours if the circumstances warranted it?
Thank you. Secretary Treasurer?
In reading the amendment that is proposed, I see that it replaces a process that will ensure that the technology is in place to allow for virtual participation of trustees with a process that would require a board decision Every time a trustee wishes to connect virtually to a meeting, and that request may be denied every single time because the technology is not available for all the members of the board to connect with each other and effectively participate in a board meeting. Having a notice period allows for the appropriate technology to be in place and for that virtual participation to be enabled. Also, like the School Act, that is the enabling part of the School Act where it says that a board may allow, and the board should make some rules around how that happens so that it's not discretionary at every single board meeting.
Trustee Richardson, do you have a follow-up on that? Okay, Trustee Freakout.
I just have a clarification question on what Trustee Richardson was talking about. I understand that he just had COVID. And if there was a meeting and if he wanted to attend and he's still going through that COVID, and he's given 48 hours of notice prior to the meeting, he would be allowed to attend virtually. Is that correct?
Yes. Trustee Chin?
Thank you, Chair. I think the original motion is what I prefer because I think 48 hours is more respectful to the staff and then to the board. I know we signed this up like public maybe before the family, but then like in case of really family emergency, I think like I wish everyone can take care of the family as well. So like I think 40 hours is kind of respectful to the board and to the staff. Thank you.
Trustee Reddy?
Yeah, thanks. Just to clarify a previous comment by the second last speaker about the situation where someone is ill and will they get access to a board meeting as a trustee with 48 hours notice? And the answer was yes. My concern that I also mentioned here is that the chairperson retains discretion to approve or deny. So that would still be a factor in the decision-making process of whether or not a trustee is given access. So that is also my reason to bring it back to the School Act to reduce bias and make sure trustees have access to the meeting.
Okay, seeing no other comments from trustees? Trustee Fraser?
So I think I'm a little confused about the using the School Act as an amendment, because when I read the School Act, it says the board may allow trustees to participate or attend a meeting of the board, etc. And what I think that means is the board has to set in its policy whether or not a trustees can or can't. And at the moment, we have nothing in policy about attending meetings virtually. So I think the original wording brings the clarity under what circumstances that can happen. I know, I was a trustee during COVID, and I know that we're more effective as a board when we meet in person. And when we were at the policy and governance, there was some discussion around trustees being elected and making a commitment to if being on the board and working with all the other trustees. And maybe some people take too much advantage if anyone could attend virtually at any time. And the other piece from the when we were in COVID is when we came back to in-person meetings, we did it at the time that we resumed full instruction in schools. We expect our staff to be in person in their workplace. And I think that the expectation should be the same for trustees, other than if there are exceptional circumstances. We can choose to go on vacation during term time, and then we're not at work. We're on vacation. We can make choices in life, and sometimes the choices are dictated for us. But we have chosen to be a trustee, and our commitment is to working as a board.
Trustee Richardson?
Madam Chair, I just had to comment that I have full confidence in the chair, and I'm not speaking as the shortest running chair ever in this history of this board, but I'm speaking that chairs, we put our trust in chairs, and I have no reason why the comments that suggest that placing the chair is there for a reason, to be that conduit. So I'm not afraid by doing that. This suggests that chair could be biased. Frankly, boards could be biased as well. So I am not in favor of this amendment, and I think that I'm confident that this will clarify a matter that is in fact not clarified at the moment, and this school act isn't helping us. We must have a policy that clarifies it.
Seeing no other comments, do you want to close this or shall we go to vote? Okay.
Yeah, thanks for the comment. Yes, it is absolutely my wish that it was an unbiased process. Of course, this experience happened to me already where I wasn't allowed to join a meeting virtually. So I can't help but also feel that it's quite pointed towards my own participation and childcare issues in the city. So yeah, unfortunately, I still support the amendment and really hope that folks will lean on the school act in this one.
Okay, all those in favor? Trustee Reddy, all those opposed? Trustee Richardson, Chan Pedley, Fraser, Young. Okay. Abstentions? Okay, Trustee Friedcoat. We're going to move along. We were with Trustee Chan. Okay, I'm going back to what we see on the board from Trustee Chan Pedley. Okay. Okay, and this is the original from Trustee Chan Pedley that we see. That correct? Yeah, 6.1.2. Okay. Is there any discussion on what we see here? Trustee Reddy?
Thanks, Chair. So now just clarifying, this is to approve Board Policy 7 as it appears in the agenda. In that
Correct. It is
committee.
that the board approve policy 7 and further what you see here in regards to amending another policy that it affects.
Will
Okay,
you take final comments?
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I did deliberate obviously over this item quite a bit, given that we've been discussing it for so long, as has been said at the board table tonight. So with respect to policy 7 in particular, I do personally want to kind of link back to the role that we have as trustees under the School Act as fiduciaries to be accountable to school community in Vancouver. So I think it's very important that we listen to their views, and having them be able to observe and inform our decision making is key to meeting our obligations. So the proposals that came to us through policy 7 here is because I raised that concern that the board isn't listening to community members, students, parents, workers by preventing access to speaking to the board. I don't think that the board liked my motion because it sent it away to the ad hoc committee to deal with and generate the report with the amendments in front of you. And the amendments brought forward by the ad hoc committee are actually worse in terms of restrictions, not better. I do feel like the proposal is indirectly political through policy change, and I do think that that's wrong. I have 2 key points that I'd like to share just in my observation of what I see the amendments doing in policy 7. The first one is just the number of anti-democratic procedural issues that I hope trustees will reject. The one is the extreme control by the chair role and gatekeeping committee appointed by the chair, because in most democratic organizations, the agenda actually belongs to us, the people in the meeting. And school trustees, all of us, should have the right to add items to the agenda. So any deliberative body subject to Robert's rules, like ours, should be able to adopt an agenda after hearing about the item and be able to include it in that meeting with a simple majority. But in this proposal, we're asking for a 2/3 vote to add an item. Sections also prevent a trustee from leaving the meeting without leave of the chair, which is, in my view, infantilizing. And Among others, these items are out of order and should not be considered. I don't think they would withstand scrutiny or review. And I do think that the procedures are a hint of what's really going on, which is taking the decision-making about these issues out of the view of the public, and centralizing them, as I mentioned in my 2 amendments as well. So last thing I wanted to say about policy 7 was about the decision-making and the barriers to participation. So what I saw in the proposal was to take public decision-making out of the view and again into the back room. My original motion from November last year was taking issue with the board's over-reliance on closed meetings and processes. Again, where most organizations go in camera at a meeting when they need to for legitimate reasons. This board uses closed meetings routinely and inappropriately, in my view. Sections of the proposal also hide board meetings after a year. I don't think there's a reason to keep our work not posted in public. There's nothing to hide. And as I just mentioned, the new rules about joining trustees joining a meeting remotely would exclude a trustee at home who's sick with a child or a person stranded in a snowstorm because they had not given 48 hours notice and a reason that pleases the chair. So the School Act actually does disqualify a trustee from holding office if they're continuously absent from these meetings for 3 months without leave of the board. So in my view, this proposal is also a backdoor way to give the board's ability to approve an absence due to illness or other reasons exclusively to the chair. If enforced wrongly, this proposal could give one trustee acting as the chair the ability to remove another trustee from office. This is a power far beyond what is contemplated in the School Act. The suggested changes to the policy were not requested by stakeholders or interest groups in any public meeting or in communications that we've received from the public. The changes that we see from the Wednesday agenda will continue to close decision-making processes from students, staff, and members of the public. I'm worried that it compromises our ability to make informed decisions and that we continue to silence public staff and trustees by restricting us from bringing items in a timely manner. I think about COVID and how important it was for us to respond in a timely way. This new policy would not enable us as an individual trustee to bring an item forward. It overrides the School Act and fetters the job of trustees under the School Act, making us unaccountable to the voters who sent us here. So I urge trustees not to support this proposal. I'm very worried about the consequence it will have to our duties as elected trustees at this table. Thanks.
Trustee Chan Pedley,
I'd like to close the argument.
before you do that, may I make one comment before you close? I had the pleasure, Trustee Richardson, I see your hand up. Okay, I'll go to you first.
I don't know where to start, and because this process, I think, it's taken a while, but there's in the previous comments to suggest that this was just kind of all sent to an ad hoc committee. It went to a formal committee a number of times, and to facilitate the timely processing of it, an ad hoc committee was proposed as a way of moving forward. So to suggest that this is anti-democratic, somehow indirectly political, is a fine. Anyone can say that, but I disagree. You characterize it as your observation. My observation isn't that. The gatekeeping committee that is the evil devil here. I remember chairing the agenda setting committee 10 years ago. It involved the same parties that are involved today. And there were no concerns. So I'm just concerned that if someone coming and hearing the summation of where we're at and how we got here, we've failed to see the facts, that there have been open committee meetings, right holders, stakeholders, and others had the opportunity to participate. We've roundtabled, we've been involved. There's nothing here that is surprising, and to suggest that there's backdoors and there's all those conspiracy things, I think is incorrect and gives people who may not be following each of our meetings the wrong impression. the idea, I mean, the whole idea of moving the meeting, the delegation meeting to Monday as an opportunity to give more people that opportunity to speak to the items that if they were following us from committee meeting to committee meeting to committee meeting, there is no surprise what comes before this body. And I appreciate not everybody, as part of their routine, watches YouTube committee meetings saying, aha, I should expect within a month that item will clear a committee and then be brought forward to a committee, to a board meeting. Maybe we need something that highlights, and don't ask me about our website, that kind of says these are meetings that are kind of in the queue to follow. But most of the people that come forward here who are involved shouldn't be surprised. So I object to the characterization of this process, and I can support the motion that's before us. And I believe that this process has in fact come a long way. And I thank the mover of the motion for bringing forward that we should be looking at governance, because it is important. But to characterize it and kind of put a cloud over all our actions by suggesting that there's somehow some conspiracy and under the guise of the chair, I think is wrong and is a disservice to public education.
Trustee Champedley, would you mind if I went before you, or would you prefer, okay, to close, okay. Okay. I just want to comment on the process that I had the pleasure of participating in. And I am very aware I have a privilege to be able to participate in more than other people around the table who have a busier workload. And I do want to acknowledge that not everyone has that in their lives. So I'm extremely grateful to say that I went to 3 or 4 policy and governance committee meetings. I went to our ad hoc committee meetings where we incorporated all of the feedback from committee meetings. I went to, public board meetings where we also discussed these. The idea, the questioning the integrity of the board and what happens at public versus private meetings that we have all signed on for, that we know exactly what happens in these meetings, to question that integrity as a member of the board sitting around this table, I think is maybe a statement of said participation or acknowledgement of our job and responsibilities. And I do want to say that some of the comments made were extremely disrespectful to the formal stakeholder groups who showed up at these policy and governance committee meetings, disrespectful to the Vancouver Elementary and Adult Educator Society, extremely disrespectful to the Vancouver Secondary Teachers Association, the Vancouver Elementary Principals and Vice Principals Association, the Vancouver Association of Secondary School Administrators, the Professional Administrative Staff Association. These are all our stakeholder groups. Disrespectful to the Canadian Union of Public Employees 407, to the IUOE 963, to the QP 15, to DPAC, to the VDSC. These are all people who sat around a table, provided their input multiple times for us to then incorporate back into these policies. And so I do think to say that their feedback isn't important or didn't have a great deal of input, I think is misleading. And so I do think that having participated in this long list of meetings and being able to be part of hearing from all of our stakeholder groups, I do think that a lot of work went into this. I'm extremely grateful to staff who did a lot of the information collecting at the groups when we were doing our committees and doing our roundtables. And we also got positive feedback from these stakeholder groups saying that this is where the work gets done, when we all show up and we sit around a table and we actually listen to each other. And so I'm extremely grateful to all of those groups, and also to the position that we're in, and to those sitting around the table who did also show up to do that work. So I'm in extreme support of this, knowing exactly how we got to this point, all the steps that were taken. Trustee Champedley, I'm going to lean on you to close the argument as requested.
Thank you, Chairperson. Trustees, The Policy and Governance Committee itself went through quite democratically this policy and draft policy and gave feedback, gave lots of scrutiny to the policy draft as you see it before you. I don't think the policies can address every act of bad decisions by trustees. For example, certain trustees at the table like to contravene the code of conduct regularly, seemingly without any repercussions. So obviously our policies are kind of guidelines. I think what we have here is the best that the Policy and Governance Committee and the Ad hoc Committee were able to do, which, by the way, was open for anyone to join. And perhaps if trustees had put in the work to join the ad hoc committees over years of trusteeship, they would know how ad hoc committees work. In closing, Dr. Fraser, perhaps you didn't find it boring because you are a nerd, and I mean that in the most complimentary of ways. But it's been a long road and there's been a lot of work done. I thank the many rights holders and stakeholders who went through this along our side. And all the ones that our chairperson had listed off, thank you, and so many others as well. And I urge trustees to approve this policy tonight.
Okay, we actually closed debate. We've closed debate, so there are no trustees can't speak to the motion after
you
closed debate.
characterized
And
my comment. I just want to clarify.
I understand that.
Version
of
of the report was not shared with the committee. So I don't agree that you should characterize that I said that all those unions and stakeholders don't matter. That is not what I said. But what I was worried about was the process that this version came out Wednesday to this meeting Wednesday, and we only heard from one delegate. That is simply what I'm saying, is that this version was not reviewed by those folks. Thank you.
All those in favor of the motion on the board? Trustee Friedcoat, Richardson, Chen Pedley, Fraser, and Young. Those opposed? Trustee Reddy. Okay, I'm going to go now to the next item on the agenda. Trustee Chen Pedley, would you please go ahead?
Thank you, Chairperson. I would like to move that the board direct an ad hoc committee, because it would be a new one, an ad hoc committee, we'll strike a new one, to work with the Secretary Treasurer to develop a draft trustee remuneration and expenses policy for review by the Policy and Governance Committee and approval consideration by the board.
Seconded. Trustee Friedcoat, thank you very much. Discussion. Before, would you like to open, Trustee?
Yeah, just that this chunk is currently like an appendix to the policy, and the recommendation from the ad hoc committee is to make it a full-fledged policy, which is what ideally this would create.
Thank you. I do also want to ask trustees around the table to volunteer for these things. This is where we get to do the nuts and bolts of the work that we do. And so I do encourage those around the table to put their hand up. And it's also an incredible opportunity to learn with the Secretary Treasurer and the other staff that work on the policy. So that's my pitch, to please volunteer. Speaking from experience, I've learned a lot in being on these ad hoc committees. Okay, seeing no other discussion or hands, Trustee Friedcoat.
Just want to add about, ask about the ad hoc committee. So I believe that it's only 3 people right now, and
it hasn't been created yet.
okay.
But it usually has a little bit of a framework on who would be, it would be the Policy and Governance Chair. We are always looking for volunteers, though. Would you like to volunteer? Oh, great. We got one. Thank you. Thank you. Was that, do you have any more questions before we move on? Okay, Trustee Reddy.
Thanks. Yeah, just a clarifying question. Will this be open to the public and include other stakeholders?
Secretary Treasurer?
So the reason why we have policy ad hoc committees is in your policy for the development of policies, there is a stipulation that says that once the board decides to have a new policy drafted, that is passed over to staff to draft the policy and then bring it forward to the board. In this case, we are suggesting, given that this deals with trustee remuneration, that staff would not be the only ones drafting the policy, but some trustee voices be included in that drafting of policy before we bring it forward through the regular process, which is the Policy and Governance Committee, and then Board for approval consideration. So it is simply to do work, research together with the Secretary Treasurer and come up with some ideas that we bring forward to the Policy and Governance Committee for their consideration and advice before it comes to the board.
Any other questions, comments from trustees? Okay. Great, we'll go to a vote. All those in favor? Trustee Friedcoat, Richardson. Okay, trustee Chen, trustee Champedley, trustee Fraser, trustee Young, those opposed. Trustee Reddy. Okay, the motion carries. We'll go now to trustee Champedley.
Thank you, Chairperson. I would like to move that the board approve policy 8 board committees.
Do I have a seconder? Trustee Friedcoat, thank you. Opening, trustee Champedley.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Same process, gone through about the same length of time with policy 7. Report is attached in the agenda. Very comprehensive. Thank you. Please pass the policy.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll go to a vote. Those in favor? Trustee Reddy?
Thanks. Yeah, as I mentioned, I have 2 amendments to this policy as well.
We're going to take a recess while you provide staff with your amendments or motions. So it's currently 1:45. We'll come back at, is 5 minutes, 10 minutes? 5 minutes? Okay, we'll be back in 5 minutes. Thanks. Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to look to the screen for the proposed amendment that was submitted by Trustee Reddy. I'm going to ask that you read it and then I'll ask for a seconder before you speak to the motion.
Thanks. So yeah, I would just like to read this amendment. So this is about policy 8, page 1 of 9. It states, quote, final
Sorry,
decisions.
109?
Oh, sorry, 1 of 9.
1 of 9. Okay,
It's-
thank you.
Yeah, it states, and this is a quote, final decisions regarding agenda items are made by the board chairperson and the board vice chairperson in consultation with the superintendent of schools and the secretary treasurer. My proposed amendment is to delete this sentence and ask for a legal opinion on whether this is a violation of the School Act by delegating board authority.
Is there a seconder? Okay, I don't see a seconder, so we'll move on. I believe you have another one for us, Trustee Reddy?
Yes, I do have another amendment that, yeah, Secretary Treasurer does have. And yeah, just a reminder, it doesn't mean you agree with the amendment, it's just for discussion. So this amendment
And
is.
sorry, before you proceed, Trustee Reddy, can I ask that you read it and before you speak to the rationale, you wait for it to be seconded? I did notice the last one, just to follow policy, just, or
Yep.
Robert's rule, sorry, before you speak to it.
Yes.
Thank you.
So page 6 of 9, where it states, quote, finance and personnel committee responsibilities, review and monitor the school district's human resource management strategy to ensure that human resources plans and initiatives will enable the school district to achieve its strategic objectives. My amendment is to return to the prior practice of 5 standing committees, which is a separate committee for finance and a separate one for personnel as listed. Thank you.
Is there a seconder? Being no seconder, we'll move along. Back to the original motion. Okay. Any comments on this before we go to a vote? Trustee Champedley, do you want to, Trustee Reddy, you have a comment before we close? Sure.
Yes, and this is related to the issues that I had shared last Monday. Largely that the comments that I shared on the feedback that was requested from us last Monday were largely not reflected in policy 7 or policy 8, hence my attempt at amendments here at the table. So one major theme I saw in policy 8 that I just want to share that is informing my vote is about the proposal from this committee that also makes it clear that the board, in my view, still does not want to hear from the public, because as a comparison to speak at council or park board, you sign up, you speak directly to the decision makers during the meeting that's considering your issue, and then you hear the deliberations and how they voted. So this proposal doesn't address the concerns that I brought in the original motion to improve democracy and makes existing exclusions worse. Again, this is my observation of the edits that I'm seeing in policy 8. There's so much advance notice that a community member who has an issue to raise with the board would only have 1 day to sign up once they learned that we were discussing it. We heard that from a young delegate on Monday. They're also required to provide a brief of their remarks on that 1 day period. No parent, student, or staff person could discuss their own situation or an issue that affected them collectively. They could not, for example, bring their track and field medal to show the board because that would now be considered a prop. A person can only speak to the board once per term, which I mentioned, term is 4 years. And it intentionally excludes most stakeholders who are expected to bring their concerns to trustees directly, but not to a standing committee where their feedback would be filtered through a committee report and never recorded in the minutes. And again, the chairperson decides that the board will not hear from them. When delegations are allowed, they happen at a closed meeting away from the regular board meeting and agenda. So I continue to be concerned about that in these further amendments. So in closing, for me, I did try to bring the motion to fix this, and I met again with no. I met with more closure and a board that, in my view, is refusing to hear from public staff and students. I've brought these issues that have been brought to my attention by people who are affected by our school decisions, and that this policy change doesn't bear any resemblance to the original motion or the items that I had originally sought to address. So I don't feel that this is a response to that motion to increase democracy, transparency, and public participation. I just want to say that I hope other trustees would join me in voting down this proposal. I'm very worried about the closure and the perception and real experience of people who are being turned away because of the concentration of decision-making that the board is giving to a single seat. And in this case, the items that I tried to bring an amendment, but that weren't accepted. So I hope that you'll join me in voting this Policy 8 amendment down.
Any comments from trustees? Is that a hand or is that a wave? Okay, trustee Friedcoat, go ahead.
Um, I just want to say that I think through our public delegation meeting, we do give that opportunity to the public to come out and speak to us. We've never closed doors for anyone, so I'm not really sure how we're not including public input over here.
Would you like to close? May I have one comment before you close? Okay, I just want to say February 2024, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I participated in 17 meetings where we discussed policies 7 and 8, 17. And I invite everyone, I see representatives from our stakeholder groups, VASE, VSDA, VEPFA, VASA, PASA, QP 407, IUOE, QP 15, DPAC, VSDA. I see representatives here in the room. I see them all the time at committee meetings. I thank you for all the work you put in. 17 meetings. Is that what I just said? 17? Yeah. The idea that voices are being stifled or that there's not opportunity to share, I think is misleading. However, I see a lot of you sit around the table and come to the committees, and I just welcome and invite everyone to, because we do have a say in what happens, and you just have to show up to do the work. Trustee Chan-Pedley, please go ahead and close.
Thank you, Chairperson. Trustees, I think I've spoken enough on policy 7. Ditto here. Ad hoc committee was open. Put it down to work. Emails are also always open. So yeah, in closing, thank you, everyone. Please pass new policy 8.
Okay, we're going to go to a vote. All those in favor? Trustee Friedcoat, Richardson, Chan-Pedley, Trustee Fraser, and Trustee Young. Those opposed? Trustee Reddy. Okay, Trustee Chan-Pedley. Nope, that is it for you and your policies. Thank you. That's it for item 5. Or 6.1. I'm gonna go now to item 6.2, Ed Plan, and I'll ask actually Trustee Chen to move receipt.
Thank you, Chair. The report for the October 15, 2025 Education Plan Committee is in the agenda. I move receipt of the report.
Thank you very much. Is there a seconder? Trustee Chan-Pedley. Are there any questions, comments? Okay, if there are no objections, we will move receipt of the report by consensus. Thank you, board. Okay, moving along, Trustee Chan-Pedley, are there matters arising? Or sorry, Trustee Chen, my apologies.
Yes, Chair. Under matter risings, we have one item for approval. We have a recommendations from the Education Plan Committee regarding the board / authority authorized course, First People Virtual Arts 12. The input provided at the meeting helped inform the revised cost framework for First People Virtual Arts 12, included in the agenda. I will move that the board approve the board authority authorized course, First People Virtual Arts 12.
Do I have a seconder? Trustee Richardson. Thank you. Are there any comments for discussion? Any points, questions? Trustee Fraser.
I think this is reiterating what was said at the Education Committee, but I think it's worth saying again. Thank you to the teachers who went through the process to create this course, and thank you also to the stakeholders and rights holders at the meeting for their comments and providing us with the opportunity to bring this course for our students.
Thank you. just to keep in mind, this is all done at the discretion of these teachers. So it's just incredible work that they're doing on the side of their desk or in their own time, and it's remarkable. So I reiterate what Trustee Fraser said, and seeing no other comments from the floor, we'll go to a vote. All those in favor? Okay, it passes unanimously. Thanks again for all the work that went into it. The online link now for submitting questions will now be closed. We'll move to item number 7 on the agenda package tonight, which is report on private session. Okay, the board, 1.7, the board authorized the board chair to report to the October 29th, 2025 public meeting that at the private session of October the 1st, 2025, the board discussed personnel, property, legal matters, and business interests. 7.2, that at the special private session of October the 15th, 2025, the board discussed a legal matter. At the special private session of October 22nd, 2025, the board discussed a legal matter. At the private session of October 29th, 2025, the board discussed personnel, property, legal matters, and business interests. Item 8, in the package, we have reports from trustee representatives. I can't thank those around the table enough who go to so many more meetings outside of the Vancouver School Board that I want to acknowledge. Thank you. A lot of City of Vancouver committees, et cetera. And so this month we have reports from Trustee Ma, who participated in the City of Vancouver Children, Youth, and Family Advisory Committee meeting, which held on September 25th, 2025. Trustee Reddy participated in the Older Persons Advisory Committee meeting, which was held on June the 27th, 2025. Trustee Fraser participated in the City of Vancouver's Urban Indigenous Peoples Advisory Committee meeting, which was September 22nd, 2025. Again, thank you, Trustees Ma, Reddy, and Fraser, above and beyond your duties, and I appreciate it. Those can be found, items 8.1, 0.2, and 0.3 in the package. So I do want to go to notices of motion. There's no new business tonight, so we'll go to item 10, notices of motion. And I have submitted a couple that are to be presented at the November 26th, 2025 meeting. I'd like to notify my fellow trustees. I'll be presenting 2 motions which read, the first one is the BCSTA AGM motion regarding reinstating funding for graduated students under the age of 19 who are continuing their second year of trades training program with school districts. Extreme interest from students in our district, so I found that to be extremely important. And then also to advocate to industry leaders, trade organizations, and post-secondary institutions to garner support for reinstating funding for graduated students under the age of 19 who are continuing their second year of their trades training program with school districts. Another important interest for the district. Moving along to, Trustee Reddy?
Yeah, I just have an item under notices of motion.
It wasn't provided, and when we approved the agenda, it wasn't.
Oh, it's just a notice of motion for the
Oh.
November 26, 2025 meeting.
Okay, and sorry, was it submitted and I didn't?
The new policy states 4 weeks in advance, so today would be 4 weeks in advance of November 26th.
So we approved the agenda at the beginning of the meeting as well. So any additions or edits to the agenda, the reason why we approved it at the beginning is just as per Robert's rules.
Okay, so how were these notices of motion added?
I submitted them. I don't know how many weeks ago.
Okay, so I would like to submit mine now and they could come up on the agenda for November 26th. I have it here. Thank you.
And actually, if you submit them now, they'll go as, there won't just be a notice of motion, there'll be an actual
Sure.
motion, yeah, that we can be debated. Perfect. Would you mind emailing them to staff? Okay. May I continue? Okay, and those will be emailed to staff. Okay, we actually moving on to number 11 on the agenda. We don't have any questions submitted for public question period. So we had that link available on our website and here in the room on the iPad. And so we'll move to adjournment. Number 12 on the agenda tonight. Seeing no objections, Okay, we'll adjourn at 9:07 PM. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for your patience with us tonight.